Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome, welcome. It is the first Wednesday of April. Can you believe that the first quarter of 2022 is already over? I can't even believe it. It's crazy. So, how is your day going so far? I'd love to hear from you guys. It's a great, beautiful, sunny day here in Tucson. And actually, it says that we're going to be in the 90, at 90 every day this week, which here we go. Summer's coming. So how is your week going so far? Are you coming in with the intention that you've set and feeling really good about your habits and your goals for this week? Or do you need to take today to take a pause and maybe get yourself back on track if you're feeling like maybe you're getting a little wobbly? If you are, know that that's okay, and let's just take the opportunity to pause and reset and know that it's about those baby steps, right? So identify one or two things that you can start working on and improve upon, and just start there. So I am really, really excited. Let's get right into it about our discussion question of the week. So I'm excited about this topic for a couple different reasons, because we live in a society that loves the quick fix, and the diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so it strives to find new ways to reel you in and to make you want to buy their product or follow their diet in order for them to make money. So on that note, my discussion question from yesterday that I asked all of you was, what is the craziest or most extreme thing or diet you followed to try to lose weight? And we got some really, really good answers. So I'm excited to dive in and dissect these for you. What we're going to do today is start off by going through each of these diets and talking a little bit about them and give you my thoughts and the science behind why they don't work. And then we're going to tell you what to do instead, because it's all good and fine to know why they don't work, but you also want to leave here with some tactical next steps to actually be able to lose weight and lose fat and sustainably. So first off, let's start off by saying why extreme diets in general don't work long term. Does anybody have any ideas? I'd love to hear from you. So comment in the comment section why you think most extreme diets don't work long term. Just put down what you think. So the reason why is because just basically what the name says is extreme. And oftentimes extreme is not sustainable long term. And it's fine to lose weight quickly, but then as soon as you stop doing it, what happens? Exactly, Peter. It's not sustainable long term. So when you lose a bunch of weight, that might be nice in the moment, but as soon as you stop doing that extreme thing, that's when the weight comes right back on, and normally plus some, right? I know some of you can relate to this, and let me know if you have done something extreme and not only did you gain all the weight back, but you gained some more too. So let's start at the top of the list. Betsy says that she has tried fasting for weeks. It was so extreme and, of course, did not result in sustained weight loss. So right off the bat, that tells me that your body was shutting down into that starvation mode. And guess what? Starvation mode is your body biologically saying, stay alive. And guess what we do when we try to stay alive? The metabolism slows down. We hang on to our fat because that's extra stored energy for when we're going through a famine or starving. But our body has to get rid of muscle because muscle is more expensive, meaning it takes more calories to maintain than fat. So if your body is just in staying alive starvation mode, guess what? The muscle is going to be what it goes. And normally, if you lose weight really quickly and you're not paying attention to getting enough protein in to preserve that muscle tissue, that's when you lose muscle and not maybe lose as much fat as you'd like. So, fasting not only is extreme, but it also can have a lot of health consequences on your energy levels, on your hormones. And I'm sure you know this, you were probably hungry and probably cranky for a lot of the time and dehydrated. So depending on what kind of fasting, I hope that you still drink water, but some fasting, like Ramadan, for example, and I know that it's not necessarily for weight loss and it's more for religious purposes, but you can't even drink water during the day either. And that makes me scared. So yes, we are not going to be fasting for weeks because we know now, hopefully as you are following along and learning my philosophy on nutrition and all of the information that we have here in the group, that we are in the business of fueling your body and helping nourish your body and give you what you need to not only reach your goals, but also have the best mental and physical performance possible. Okay, Wendy says that she ate ground meat for a week while doing keto to help her break through a stall, which, doing something extreme to kind of break through a stall is common, but then it goes right back to what happens when you stop doing that extreme thing. So eating nothing but ground meat for a week, that's extreme, but then on top of that, keto is pretty extreme too. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have tried keto before. It's very buzzworthy, it's very popular, and it's a fad diet that has gotten a lot of attention because it helps people lose weight. Let's just be honest. I'm not gonna, try to cover it up and say that it doesn't make you lose weight, because most people see a lot of weight loss with it. But guess what? Following a keto diet for the rest of your life is not sustainable. Most of the time, you're probably going to want to have cake on your birthday, or pizza every once in a while on a Friday, or enjoy a drink out with your girlfriends. All of those things have carbohydrates in them, and that will get you out of the state of ketosis, which is the whole point of the ketogenic diet, is to keep your body in a state of ketosis, meaning you are using ketones and fat for your primary muscle source or primary energy source rather than carbohydrates, which is the easiest and most efficient pathway to get your energy. So most of the time, the ketogenic diet is not, yes, it can help you lose weight, but most of the time it only lasts for a certain amount of time. And then as soon as you stop doing keto, what happens? You gain all the weight right back. Michelle said that she's tried Ideal Protein, which I actually had to look up because I wasn't too familiar with this. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot. Well, of course I'm talking a lot. I'm just the only one talking, so my mouth got dry. So anyway, the Ideal Protein Diet, and I would love to hear from you, Michelle, if I'm incorrect about this, but from what I could understand from looking it up, it's a modified keto diet where you are actually still limiting some of your fat, which is kind of interesting because if it's a keto diet, it's high fat, but if you still have to limit your fat. So it's more of trying to be in ketosis, but eating mostly protein from what I understand. So same thing, not sustainable long-term. Heather says she doesn't think she's ever gone on a diet, but really just counted calories, which, is great. Calories are king in terms of getting to a caloric deficit, but we actually really do want for maximum results and optimal results too, in terms of body composition changes, preserving your muscle tissue while losing body fat. Because that's the thing, right? We say lose weight, but we actually mean lose fat, because I don't care if you're losing weight and that's coming from muscle. That's not our goal. I want the weight that you're losing to be coming from fat. So that's what we mean when we're saying body composition changes. And so on that note, a caloric deficit can lead to, most of the time, leads to weight loss. But if you're only worried about the calories and not the macronutrient distribution, we cannot control whether that weight is coming from muscle or from fat. And so in terms of long-term sustainability, counting calories and counting macros, which is something I do with my clients in a specific phase, but it's not meant to be a long-term solution. In the 4th phase of my program, the independence phase, that's when we actually wean off of the tracking, because I don't want you to have to track for the rest of your life, but we need to make sure that you can still sustain those results while working more towards an intuitive eating style. All right. On that note, Liz says the cabbage diet. Oh man, I remember seeing that one, and whether it's the cabbage diet or the cabbage soup diet, same principle, right? A severe caloric deficit, and you're very extreme and restricted in the foods that you can eat. And so same thing, not sustainable long term. And guess what? That kind of, there are always extreme weird diets going on, but specifically that kind of like late 90s, early 2000s, I feel like there was a lot of, I even remember seeing the chocolate chip cookie diet. Same principle, being in a caloric deficit, you're eating, however many, 5 chocolate chip cookies a day. And it was, so shiny and exciting because, oh my gosh, eating cookies, because you're getting to a caloric deficit, but it's not focused on the quality of the food or making sure you're getting enough protein or the nourishment that you need. But because it was a caloric deficit, people saw weight loss. So it was a hype. All right, Delana says HCG, which is the I tried to, I actually listened to Google pronounce it for me because I wanted to be able to say it right. Human chorionic gonadotropin. I'm sure I got that middle word wrong, but you can correct me if you know how to say it better. So basically, this is taking a hormone, which is actually a hormone produced during pregnancy because it is an anabolic hormone, meaning it promotes building. So when you're pregnant, it helps to build baby cells. But if you're taking it and you're not pregnant, it helps to build muscle tissue. Or in the case of being in a severe caloric deficit, which Delana says that she was only eating 500 calories a day. So with HCG, with the extreme caloric deficit, this hormone helps your body actually burn the fat instead of burning the muscle like it would normally be doing. And so in that case, this hormone is protecting that muscle because it is an anabolic hormone. But just like she said, as soon as she stopped doing it, all the weight came back. And, safety-wise, you don't want to be, it's just not a long-term solution to be taking some sort of synthetic hormone or medication, right, for weight loss. Okay. Now, Sharon says, for sure, the grapefruit diet, which same thing like the cabbage diet. It's eating, one or just a few restricted food items, being in a caloric deficit to get to that weight loss, but we are not determining where that weight is coming from. Might be muscle, might be fat. We don't know. And then Susan says the Beverly Hills diet. And so the Beverly Hills diet was also one that I had to look up. And this diet seems super extreme as well. Same thing. It was it was like popular in the 90s. And basically it was just fruit for the first 35 days. And then there are some only protein days. And then there's also these food rules of you can't eat carbohydrates with protein, which if we're thinking of from a scientific perspective and what carbohydrates do and what protein does in your body, actually we want to be eating them together because carbohydrates, as we remember, are our body's primary source of energy, which is great because that's what we eat. It raises our blood sugar. But if we eat carbohydrates by themselves, our blood sugar goes up and then it goes back down. It drops back down. But when we eat protein with our carbohydrates, our blood sugar goes up more steadily and it goes down more steadily. It's not these high extremes and drops, spikes and drops, spikes and drops. It's more of, let's just keep our blood sugars nice and stable. And that's the benefit of eating protein with carbohydrates. So I thought that was a little wonky. And not to mention eating only fruit is going to be probably pretty difficult, I will say, in terms of compliance, right? So compliance-wise, you're not going to stick to it long term, or as soon as you stop following it, same thing happens. So we know that there are all sorts of crazy, wonky, wacky diets out there to get your money, to make you lose weight, but to make you fail, and that you gain the weight right back so that you keep coming back for more. Like, can we understand that that's the whole point of these crazy diets? Is because they help you see some weight loss, and then you stop doing it, you gain the weight back. Oh my gosh, I have to go back to that diet. So we keep trying things that are not working long term. And it's a cycle that it's hard to break, and it's hard to break that mindset. So I'm here to tell you that there is another way. And I'm sure a lot of you know this by now, especially if you've been following along and listening to my videos and participating in the group. You know that there's a more sustainable, healthy way to lose fat, not just lose weight, right? Lose fat while still enjoying your life. And so if we're thinking about the principles, that if we had to break it down into how to lose body fat, if we broke it down, it's just be in a caloric deficit, but get enough protein so that you're hanging onto your muscle, but you're in a caloric deficit enough to lose fat. The most important thing here is that the caloric deficit is not too big, because that's where a lot of us go wrong right away. I'm going on a diet, I need to eat in a caloric deficit, I'm going on a 1,200 calorie diet, right? How many of us, you can raise your hand or you can give me that's me in the comments, have gone on a 1,200 calorie diet because it's a caloric deficit. But here's the thing, if your maintenance calories, let's just use 2,000 calories because that's a pretty standard round number. If you go to a 1,200 calorie diet, so that's an 800 calorie deficit. That deficit is too big. That number one, it's not going to be sustainable. And number two, after some time, your metabolism adapts to that new lower amount of calories and thinks that it's new maintenance. That's why we see plateaus so much. And that's why I see so many women when I first start working with them are frustrated because here they are eating so few calories, but why the heck am I not losing weight? Well, because you've been in such an extreme caloric deficit for so long that your metabolism thinks that that's its new maintenance. So yes, we need to be in a caloric deficit, but it can't be too big. And if you've been in a caloric deficit for months or even years on end, well, we sure as heck have to work your way back up to a maintenance calorie first so that your metabolism is back used to a normal maintenance calories. And it's okay, this is what this is supposed to do. And then we can slowly create a caloric deficit from there. Does that make sense? So if we're thinking about losing a pound of fat each week, which I know for some of us might be thinking, that's not fast enough. Well, here's the thing. If you lose your weight too quickly, it's not sustainable long term. So I would rather us take 1 pound off every single week for 6 months. How many pounds is that? 4 times 6, 20. So let's just call it 24 pounds in 6 months, and then that actually be your new baseline weight. I would take that. You can disagree with me if you wish. I would rather take that slow and steady weight loss than lose 24 pounds in 1 month, and then as soon as you stop doing whatever you did to get there, it comes right back on. We're done doing that. Can we all agree on that? We're done doing it that way. We want slow and steady fat loss. That's the other thing. We want to preserve your muscle tissue and not lose weight too quickly, because if you lose weight too quickly, we cannot be absolutely sure that we're maintaining that muscle that maybe you've worked so hard to build, and we want to just be the fat. So that's another reason why we want it to be a little bit more slow and steady, if you will. So that being said, 1 pound a week is a caloric deficit of 3,500 calories over the whole week. So that breaks down to about a 500 calorie deficit for each day. So 3,500 calories is about 1 pound of fat. There's going to be other factors. There's going to be some variation, but that's what we use as our baseline. Now, this 500 calorie deficit, we can take from only food, but if we're in here for the long haul, the way that I do it with my clients, and what I think a lot of people like doing it this way, is taking partly from food and adding some exercise so that you can eat more food and still see that weight loss. Can we agree that eating more food and losing weight is better than eating a very, very small amount of food and feeling hungry all the time to lose the weight? Yes. So that's how we slowly and incrementally, boop, 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 drop down in a caloric deficit in an incremental way to have that slow and steady weight loss and not damage your metabolism in the meantime. So it's this balance of having, yes, that caloric deficit, but not too big so that you are putting your body in starvation mode. So I know I was just like spewing all sorts of stuff out there. I kind of made myself dizzy a little bit. So I hope you're still following along and finding this information valuable. So just know that you're not meant to figure it all out on your own. That's why I have a job. That's why I love what I do, because hopefully you can see that I'm super passionate about what I do and explaining this to you and explaining this and helping my clients get to these places because it's confusing. The internet is a black hole of misinformation and it's just getting worse. If you try to Google how to lose weight, geez Louise, I mean, that could be a whole Facebook Live in itself of just us going through all the crazy stuff that is on a Google search result, right? So why not put your fat loss journey in the hands of a professional who's been doing this for years, who has your best interest in mind, and who does not want you to have to come back? I always say this to my clients. My ultimate goal is for you to not need me anymore. I don't want you to have to come back. I don't want you to have to go on another diet, because I want you to reach your goal and be so confident in your skills that you can maintain it for the rest of your life. That's pretty awesome. That's true success, and that's graduation from the program. So on that note, I do have a few open spots in my one-on-one nutrition coaching program. And if you think that you might be a good fit, I would love to have a conversation with you. So I am going to link the application for the coaching program. I'll just put it in the comments. If you are like, okay, I want to hear more. And even if it's just to gather some more information and kind of see what it's all about, go ahead and fill out the application. It couldn't hurt. And I would love to have a conversation with you to see if you're going to be a good fit for the program. So on that note, we're all going to agree to stop doing crazy stuff. I wanted to say a bad word, but I said stuff instead. All right, we're all going to vow to stop doing crazy diets, stop doing crazy stuff, and just nourish our body, fuel our body, and create sustainable fat loss through evidence-based practices, right? Okay, awesome. Anyway, I hope that you found this valuable. I hope that you had a fabulous day and an even better rest of your week ahead. And I will see you in the group.